She's out. She is resigning. The president of Harvard University, Doctor. I wonder if they're going to pull her doctorate as well. I'm assuming that some of the plagiarism is in her dissertation. 60 counts of plagiarism alleged, roughly 60, 55 or something like that. But anyway, she's out at Harvard. And it turns out that to be DEI royalty makes you almost invincible professionally. Emphasis on the almost. There are limits. This is very interesting. They held on. As I've said, the testimony about calling for the genocide of Jews and how that would be treated on a Harvard campus, that was bad. But she would, Dr. Gay, actually it was Ms. Gay, would have been able to stay in her job with that. I think. I honestly and truly believe that that would not have changed anything. But or it wouldn't have changed that she would stay as president. She would have said I'm sorry or something. But now with all the plagiarism piled atop that, she is out. I have here the Harvard Office of the President resignation letter, and I just before I read some of the key components of this, and I want to hat tip Christopher Rufo. As always, he's on it, and he was the one who I first saw raising the issue of the plagiarism in the first place. Rufo got a lot of attention on that, so a tip of the hat to him here. And he's also shared her resignation letter on his Twitter account. So I'm reading the resignation letter, and I'm just wondering before I get to the text here. Do you think that she is going to be reflective and take responsibility in this? Or do you think that she's going to play the victim? I'm just wondering. What do you think, everybody? Here we go. Dear members of the Harvard community, it is with a heavy heart but a deep love for Harvard that I write to share that I will be stepping down as president. I didn't come to this decision easily, etc., etc., etc. Let me see where we go. Where do we go here? It's a singular honor. It's been great. Deep sense of connection, etc., etc. Here we go. Quote, amidst all of this, it has been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and to upholding scholarly rigor, two bedrock values that are fundamental to who I am, and frightening to be subjected to personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus. She's getting fired because of racism, everybody. You see it? That's what we're being told. It's the stuff that's coming her way. This is, quote, fueled by racial animus. Threats, even, fueled by racial animus, she says. It's remarkable, isn't it? It's remarkable. This is where but of course this is her position. That she's a great scholar of the utmost integrity, and basically she did nothing wrong. There's a bunch of racists that are saying horrible stuff to her, so, for the benefit of the Harvard community, she doesn't want to have a distraction, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. She's stepping down. That's what this is. I mean, it's unsurprising, but I think you can see that this is, unsurprising, but this is where we are. The rest of it is all just, what you would expect. But I thought that part of it was frightening to be subjected to personal attacks. Remember, she's somebody who wanted honestly, a really exceptional scholar who is a black man at Harvard, but a scholar who's done very interesting work, Professor Fry, wanted him to be fired not because of what he made sexually inappropriate comments, whatever, that wasn't why. But when she was a dean at Harvard, she wanted him gone because he was the one who produced, based on using data, number crunching, and an economics approach, produced the data that for the same conduct, a white man is more likely to be shot by police than a black man for the same conduct in a lethal force situation. Now, whether someone agrees or disagrees with that, and I think we can all understand why that might be the case, right? Because if you shoot a white guy in this country who is acting in a way that is threatening to the police or others, and it's a lethal force situation, no one's going to think it's racist. So all you have to do is articulate the situation. But as we know, because of BLM and the Democrats and the left and Soros prosecutors and all the rest of it, if you shoot a black man in this country, the optics of the situation immediately require well, hold on. This wasn't racist. Here's why. So does it make any, from the police perspective, does it make anyone surprised to find out what the professor at Harvard did, which is that under the same circumstances, he also said that the police are more likely to be aggressive with black males than white males under similar circumstances. So there's something there. He wasn't just it wasn't all on one side. I mean, he's saying, hold on a second, the cops will get they'll be a little more. I'm trying to think of the right word. Aggressive was the word I used, but we'll be a little snappier, a little a little more rude. There we go. A little more rude interacting with a black male than a white male in a law enforcement to civilian encounter. But the thing about the shootings, that was sacrilege to the left because all the BLM stuff and Mike Brown and Ferguson and uh, George Floyd and all this stuff. You're not allowed to say. And of course, George Floyd wasn't even a shooting incident, but you know what I mean. And so she wanted to ruin that man's life for telling the truth because she's a political hack. And she got her job because she's a political hack. And now what you see is the first time somebody who has been elevated to these heights in academia. And really, I mean, Harvard has a $55 billion endowment. I mean, to be the president of Harvard is to sit atop a massive institution in terms of wealth, cultural relevance, power, influence. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. People have been like the former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. You can go from Treasury Secretary of the United States to Harvard president, and it's like almost a lateral move, right? It's a big deal. It's not really a lateral move, but it's close. I mean, you can't be Treasury Secretary forever, so that's the kind of job you get once you've been Treasury Secretary, right? That's what I mean. And honestly, I'd rather be president of Harvard, paid like $2 million a year, $1.5 million a year, have a mansion that you don't have to pay for, and just go to cocktail parties and have other people write the occasional speech. I mean, it is, man, it is one of the best gigs. Honestly, one of the best gigs on the planet. He's the president of one of these, major elite universities with a massive endowment. But the downside is you got to play the politics. You got to play the politics, and you better be a true believer in DEI and the cultural Marxism and all these things that you see that have infiltrated. And really now, it's not just infiltration, it's domination. They originally infiltrated these campuses, this ideology, and now this ideology of the left, this cultural Marxism, this deconstructionism, and I mean, there's a lot of ways we could continue to describe it. Moral relativism that's really at the core of all of this. It went from infiltration to domination of the university system. Now, will there be others who see, or as a result of this, everyone sees what's going on? Will there be others who either change their behavior or are at least aware now that if the first black female president of Harvard University can be fired, it means that anybody else who's the president of any university anywhere under circumstances like what we've seen could be fired. No matter how left wing you are, no matter how devoted to the cause. And so that sense of invincibility, I think, maybe has been pierced. I think there has been a little bit of a change here, that there are some people in our society who are elevated to extremely elite and elitist positions and will not be held accountable for conduct, really under any circumstances. That maybe now this could be the beginning of a change in perception around that issue. And that's what I think is perhaps the longer term takeaway from all this. But yeah, I thought she'd be able to hang on. Although to be fair to my prediction here, um, I didn't know that they were going to keep. I thought they had found all the plagiarism. You know what I mean? It's if they had found all the plagiarism before Christmas, I think the Christmas holiday happens. She comes back. There is more plagiarism that came out after the holiday. I mean, at some point, I think what they're recognize is that this they can't defend this, and that really they elevated a career plagiarist to the president of the most storied university on the planet, and they just knew they couldn't without massive damage to Harvard's brand. They just couldn't keep this going. And what is Harvard? It's a brand. That is the value, really. You can get an amazing education, and I truly mean that. You get an amazing education at any decent state school in this country right now. And you could even get an amazing education with the right resources on the internet at home, more than ever before. Harvard, though, is perception. It's the doors that open. It's the belonging to a club. It's the stamp of intellectual excellence, quote unquote, and the approval and approbation of your peers that comes with it. That's what it represents. And so the one thing, and this is always true, this is true in tyrannies, it's true even in the most, Maoist DEI enclaves out there. The one thing they cannot abide is mockery that hits home. They can't become a laughing stock. And Harvard knows this. You can't have a person who's basically plagiarized everything she's ever written and never written anything of substance anyway, running your university and be firing people and expelling students for plagiarism. There are some limits. They actually found the outer limit of DEI invincibility.